Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the UGAsports.com quick take. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. It's Wednesday Wager, the last one of the season, and let's hopefully make it a good one. I am interested to know what my record was. I should have kept track. I honestly didn't. I just kind of thought, I think one week I was going to do it, and then I just kept doing these picks. And, I feel like some weeks were better than others. Last week, not ideal. Obviously had Georgia to cover the 6.5. I think I was wavering on the over under and then thinking of the over, and I can't remember what it was. I just remember wanting to stay away, and then the over easily hit the 62.5. You see a line like that, and you just got to think, yeah, it's probably going to go over, especially a team like Ohio State. I just thought Georgia's defense would step up a little bit, a lot of points in that game, obviously. Okay, moving forward, apologies for the 6.5. Definitely thought Georgia would cover. I thought the logic was sound too. However, the Sharps came in late. That's what I want to get to real quick. Wednesday next year, Wednesday's probably not the ideal day. I'm probably going to move this toward Friday. Or maybe even do like a Saturday morning wager post, a really short one, because it seemed like everything was pointing Georgia's way with the Sharps, just based on the total money versus the bets. And then last week, Friday, just killer. The big money started coming in on Ohio State, and that doesn't always mean that Ohio State. That doesn't mean that that team's going to suddenly win. That happened against Michigan, and Michigan ended up destroying Ohio State. So, it's betting at the end of the day. But those who are professionals, those who seem to know more than others and have this figured out a lot more than others, they went big on Ohio State. And for those who bet the spread, they came out victorious and made some money, because obviously they led all game and only lost by 1. And, they had all the way down to 4.5, which is where I actually ended up playing it. When it started coming down, I was like, interesting. Okay, I'm just going to wait. I played it at 4.5, still lost. So all that to set up Georgia TCU. Georgia opened up a 13.5 or 13-point favorite, depending on the book. Right now, DraftKings has them at minus 12.5. So they've actually come down, and here's why. 78% of the bets right now are on TCU. 72% of the handle is on TCU. At plus 12.5. But what's interesting is right now the early money of the money line bets is on are on TCU. 70% of the bets, but 85% of the money at plus 350 on TCU. Now, the reason why I say it's probably better next year to wait until Friday and Saturday is this is setting up like Georgia, Tennessee, and like Georgia, Ohio State, where Georgia, Tennessee, Georgia was a significant favorite. I believe it was maybe 8. They opened at 8 maybe. And the early money was going Tennessee's way pretty significantly. It was Tennessee, I think it was even at one point like 90-10. So something absurd. And where it was like the public and the money. The public and the money seemed aligned. Maybe the money was a little higher than the public, and then all of a sudden Friday, Saturday, boom, it switched. The line had gotten down to I think 7 or 7.5, and it might have been 7, and that's when the Sharps pounced and just started hammering Georgia, and then Georgia, ended up being I think a 9-point favorite, and ended up covering that too. I think I ended up jumping in at 9 when I saw the Sharps swing that way. I thought, okay, somebody knows something. Anyway, that could be the case here. That was similar with Georgia, Ohio State. Georgia had the money, they had the public, and then all of a sudden Friday, Saturday came, and you just started seeing the swing, and you started seeing the sharp money coming on Ohio State. It went from 6.5 to 6 to 5.5 to 5, and then on one of the books I used, got down to minus 4.5, and still couldn't cover that. So the Sharps they tend to know more than the regular person. Friday's going to be the key. I'm not touching 12.5. We'll go ahead and get out there. We're not at 5 minutes in. I'm not touching 12.5. Not a chance. I'll be interested to see if bettors come in hard on Georgia toward the end of the week and see how if this line goes lower. I'm not touching this spread unless it got under 7, quite frankly. And part of that is TCU and the explosive offense they have. Look at the team points per play this season. Ohio State leads the way, 0.648. Tennessee, 0.602. Georgia was able to handle them. TCU, number 7 at 0.56. Now, you look at TCU's schedule. This is a team, they're not as talented as Georgia. They don't have, the 5-star power that the Bulldogs have. But look at the games that they played. After the first month of the season, they just were in games. Didn't matter the opponent. They just found ways to win. 38-31 against Kansas. 43-40 against Oklahoma State. 38-28 over Kansas State in the regular season. 41-31 over West Virginia. 34-24 over Texas Tech. 17-10 over Texas. 29-28 over Baylor. They blew out Iowa State somehow. 62-14. And then, of course, they lost to TCU. Lost to Kansas State in the Big 12 championship. Should have won that game had Max Duggan gotten called with the quarterback sneak there at the end at the goal line. Don't know what Sonny Dykes was thinking. That was, really the most bonehead decision of the year. And quite honestly, it was nice to see him own up to it and say, yeah, if we could do it over again, we would have him QB sneak that. And then, of course, Michigan. Michigan was the better team. You look at it talent-wise across the board, but what Michigan did was call it the Jim Harbaugh hubris, whatever, the arrogance of that 4th and goal at the 4, 5, or 6 yard line, whatever it was, and running Philly special. Stupid, absolutely stupid. Kick the field goal there, or really just kick the field goal there. If you're not at the 1 or 2 yard line, there's no reason to run such a silly play. Then, of course, the fumble at the inch line. Got to hold on to the ball. They had the other fumble. The thing with TCU is they continue to find ways to stay in games late and then win those games. They may not have the most talent. This is 2002 Ohio State. I said this yesterday. This team has that knack. They have that intangible factor where if you make a mistake, if you make, God forbid, 2 mistakes, they're going to be there in the end. They're not going away. Now, this was the opposite of this past game where they got ahead and then Michigan clawed back and TCU had to hold them off. And obviously a controversial non-targeting penalty at the end of the game that did not go Michigan's way, helped seal the deal for TCU. But you let TCU hang around and they can make you pay. And so really it's just, I don't care who they played, really, especially after beating Michigan. This team's for real. Max Duggan's a great quarterback. They got enough explosive players on offense, especially with what we've seen with Georgia's defense in the last couple games when it comes to defending the pass, that if Georgia is not able to get that consistent pass rush, I think anything's on the table. So that said, if I bet on this game, I'm waiting till the end, honestly. I'm waiting all the way to Monday. And it's funny because I said we'll see Friday, whatever. Probably Sunday is the better day for sharp action. Sunday, Monday, since we got the extra few days. This is what I will probably do, is I'm probably going to tease this game. I think Georgia wins. I think that is – if you're betting TCU to win this game, you're betting it as a lotto. You're taking the plus 350. You're putting however much money you want on it, and you want to more than triple it. And then if you don't, you're okay with losing what you put up. That's pretty much, to me, that's why you're betting TCU money line. I don't think anybody legitimately can honestly say, unless you're a diehard TCU fan, that you think TCU wins this game. Now, I don't feel comfortable about a blowout. I have a friend. His name is John Bobby. He thinks that Georgia's going to blow out TCU. He thinks that Georgia-Ohio State was a national championship, kind of like the way Georgia-Alabama was a national championship back in 2012. And then, the winner went and played a Notre Dame team that really wasn't that good. Similar, beat a lot of good teams. But when it came down to it, just didn't have the enough to really be able to handle Alabama. And so, sure, I get it, but it's a different. This just feels different. It feels like you would rather play this safe. So I would tease this. The over at 62.5. This is another one. You're setting it that high. You saw what happened in the last two games. Of course, watch it now be a 17-10 game. I think if you go with 7-point teaser on the over and on Georgia, you get that down to, see how far Georgia goes down, this coming week. Maybe by Saturday, I think that'll be a good indicator. If this gets down to, say, 12 or 11.5, if it gets down to 11.5, I mean, immediately you play the 7-point teaser, I think, and you get the what would that make it? 4.5 minus 4.5, and then take 7 off 62.5, and you're at 55.5. So over 55.5 minus 4.5, I think, like, if you're able to get a teaser there, you're feeling decent, and you got those two things, for about the same, minus 110. So that's what I would do. Not touching minus 12.5. Not touching any Georgia. And if the Georgia line were to fall all the way to single digits, on Monday, and it stays there, then somebody knows something that we don't know. I don't expect that to happen. I am kind of thinking, looking at it right now, considering that you've got 78% of the public, 72% of the handle, there is a 6% difference there, that there might be some sharp action on Georgia coming Sunday or Monday before this game, and people hoping that this line goes down before pumping it back up. So that's it. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying take a 7-point teaser on Georgia and the over, and ride it out and see what happens. See if Georgia wins and you win money at the same time. But regardless, I think this has a very good chance of being a pretty exciting national title game. Maybe we'll go over some other prop bets and all that. It's funny because I ended up, the last week I ended up having Stetson Bennett. I forget the alt line I had on him, like 230, I think, and then Bowers over 45 receiving, Kenny McIntosh over 45. That hit, but I put the spread on Georgia as well, so that same game parlay did not work out. Oh, well, that was just something for fun. Maybe we can get something. We'll talk about it, get some scenarios, do something that later in the week, or maybe even on Monday morning. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that's it today for the quick take. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't, please like and subscribe and share all that good stuff. Go to the UGAsports.com dog vent and also subscribe there, the best community for Georgia sports fans on the World Wide Web. You guys have been awesome. I've been Jason Butt. Y'all take care.